Good evening, everyone. Brown Venture Prize competition. We're so happy to be back in person. Let's give in person a hand. This is the 5th Brown Venture Prize competition, and yeah, it worked well. We executed flawlessly online the last 2 years, but I can tell you, I can just sense the excitement by being in person. There's no substitute for being here in Alumni Hall, and so excited. We're even putting more chairs in the back. We're more people here than we even expected. So really, really happy to be here. I haven't had a chance in quite some time to ask the telltale question that I always ask at every Nelson event. Some of you are laughing because you're expecting it. I love that it's our tradition. For how many of you is this your first Nelson Center event? Raise your hand. All right, thank you for being here. You especially, because for some of you, this is the first Nelson event in person that you've had the opportunity to be at. And so really thrilled to invite you here and have you here. Invite you to come to more events. I thought I might put into a little bit of context where the Brown Venture Prize sits in terms of the range of things the Nelson Center offers. So, we teach entrepreneurship as a structured process for solving problems, and I think nothing could be better evidence of that than the teams you're about to hear who are doing just that. They've identified really significant problems, they're in the process of solving them, and eventually they're going to scale their solutions the way that many of their predecessors have, who are now raising big amounts of capital, hiring lots of employees, setting up offices in this country and around the world. This is a really good example of one of the elements of the Nelson Center's offerings. The way I always like to describe them is 3 buckets: curricular, co-curricular, and venture support. So we offer lots of courses, we support academic research. We know that some of you are already undertaking the entrepreneurship undergraduate certificate, so lots of curricular offerings. We also offer lots of ways to learn outside the classroom, through workshops, through speakers, through events. I see many of you at those as well. And then the Brown Venture Prize competition, fits in the 3rd bucket, which is where we say we're not only trying to motivate and teach students to learn the process of entrepreneurship, but we're empowering them to do it. And there's a whole range of resources we make available to do that. Increasing amounts of grant funding. The Brown Venture Prize is one of these resources. The Summer B Lab, which some of you have participated in. The Van Wickle Ventures student-run venture fund. Lots and lots. We have an embarrassment of riches of alumni and other contributors who offer mentorship and other ways of contributing to the learning of actually doing entrepreneurship, not just learning about it. I want to thank our donors, Richard and Jane Katzman, for making tonight and also the last 2 years of the Brown Venture Prize possible. Thank you so much for your generous support in all ways. And I'm going to introduce Richard as a judge in a second and tell you a lot of the other ways in which he's been instrumental in helping entrepreneurship thrive at Brown. One housekeeping issue: although I dramatically pulled off my mask, I still have to ask you all to wear masks while you're in the competition here. And then at some point, we're going to allow you to take them off when we serve refreshments in the back after the event itself. But thank you for indulging us and wearing your masks while you are here in the competition. I also want to thank our amazing Nelson Center staff, who is such a good example of a team that is moving forward a well-targeted but lean still venture, and that is Tori. Tori, unfortunately, is sick and wasn't able to be here tonight, but none of this could have happened without Tori and Liz and Jonas and Sheila. So a big round of applause for the Nelson Center staff. We also have amazing volunteers, including our peer entrepreneurs in residence, members of the student-run entrepreneurship program, New England Showtime and Media Services, and of course, Abby from Events at Brown. So it really does take a whole big team to pull off an event like this, and we really appreciate all of the support and all of the help. This is the ongoing year-long 5th year anniversary of the Nelson Center, and we encourage you to find more information that's online about other events that are happening. I'm told there's a book launch event next week, which I also encourage you to come to. EP has a whole lineup of other events, and if you're not aware, although I'd be surprising if you're not, our website where you can find out all this information is entrepreneurship.brown.edu. I want to encourage everybody to stay here for the entire event because you have an important role to play, and that is to vote in the fan favorite. The judges will be selecting the official winners of the Brown Venture Prize competition, and so can you. And so that applies to everybody who's here in Alumni Hall, and a huge shout out to a lot of people who have tuned in from all over the world and who are watching the live stream. We know that there's people in Portugal and in Latin America and in Africa and in Asia. I'm not sure we've covered Antarctica. One of these years, I'm gonna make sure that we do, but all the continents except perhaps Antarctica. And so thank you to all of you from around the world who have watched the live stream. You also can participate in the fan favorite event. So without any further ado, it's my real pleasure to start to introduce the judges. And I'm told there's gonna be some really fun music playing, so I'll let that cue.
Here comes the money.
All right.
Here we go.
First judge is Ben Chesler, class of 2015, 2021 and 22 entrepreneur in residence. Ben is the co-founder of Imperfect Foods, the associate director of entrepreneurship at the Roux Institute of Northeastern University. And Ben is also my former student from 1010, as well as a winner of one of the precursors of this event. Next is Lisa Galopter, class of 91, the CEO and founder of Techquitable. She's also been a Startup at Brown keynote, a Nelson Center panelist, and a very generous mentor. Thank you so much for being here, Lisa. Richard Katzman, class of 78, parent of 2014 student, is a member of the President's Advisory Council on Entrepreneurship, a very accomplished entrepreneur, and for many, many, many years, a supporter of, again, the precursor of the Nelson Center, the student-led entrepreneurship program, and a very generous mentor. Thank you so much, Richard, for all that you do to support entrepreneurship. Sadie Kurzban, class of 2012, makes me feel very old because I remember when Sadie was in my class. And also, Sadie's venture that she has launched and raised money for, and it is thriving, called 305 Fitness, won a precursor to this event back when she was a student. She has real close connections with our student-run venture fund, Van Wickle Ventures, which invested in Sadie's company 305 Fitness. She has been a Nelson Center speaker and panelist and mentor. I feel old, but I'm so proud of one of my former students to be a judge. Thank you so much, Sadie. Jessica Murphy, class of 00, co-founder of TrueFit, and has been also a B-Lab keynote speaker. So thrilled that you're with us tonight, Jessica, and thank you for all you do to support the Nelson Center. And Mary Pan, at dinner we were joking, she has so many letters after her name, way more than I can account for here. The two numbers that make the most of her time here are 99, class of 99. She is the general partner at Certeris Capital. Good, I pronounced it right. And this is Mary's first ever engagement with the Nelson Center, so we really appreciate her being here today. We have two judges who are with us remotely. One is Michael Song, class of '89. You can still clap for Michael. Founding partner at Rustic Canyon Partners, a mentor. I'm class of '87. Michael and I knew each other when we were students. And also Melanie Whalen, class of '99, managing director at Summit Partners, the former CEO at SoulCycle. She was the inaugural We at Brown keynote speaker and a frequent mentor for student ventures here at the Nelson Center. So excited, so thankful, so grateful for all the work our judges have done and will do tonight. I'll tell you real briefly how this is going to go. We're going to go through 7 ventures. Each venture will pitch for 4 minutes, and then that will be followed by 4 minutes of Q&A with each of 2 judges. And the judges know who's going to be asking the questions of the ventures. So let's move on with our first pitch. They're going to walk out and introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about what they're up to. Our first team is Aloud. Thank you, everybody.
Hi, I'm Freddie, and I'm a founder of Aloud.
And I'm Cole, and I'm the other founder of Aloud.
If you walked outside right now, within 30 seconds, you'd probably see 5 people walking down the street with AirPods in. Now, with so much more time spent listening, you might expect that the options for passive audio content have increased over the last 5 years. If you did, you'd be wrong. The only established options for audio content are music and podcasts, and they've both been growing rapidly, showing the demand for innovation in the space.
However, there are some issues with these options. We've talked to hundreds of people, and time again, the same sort of responses keep coming up. 1, it's hard to find new things to listen to, and 2, people wish they had more options for hands-free entertainment. The thing is, when you're listening to the same songs or podcasts day in and day out, it gets boring. Enter Aloud. Aloud is a fully audio-based social media app available on the Google Play and iOS app stores. The way it works is simple. Users sign up and can record and upload short, spontaneous audio clips for other users and followers to hear in an algorithmically generated feed, as seen on the left. In the center is an example of our TikTok-style player, and on the right, an example of profile pages for users to find one another and connect. We also have an in-app native recorder so that users can record and upload content directly in the app. And we have audio replies, so that users can have active vocal conversations with one another instead of relying on the textual-based comments, which exist in most other social media apps. And since Aloud plays in the background, it's a perfect activity to do whenever you're doing something which requires your hands or eyes, but doesn't require active engagement. For example, this could be driving, biking, cooking, working out, even taking a shower. The opportunities are endless. All you have to do is open Aloud and let your feed play.
The audio space has been growing rapidly, and our competition sees the value but misses the mark. Existing audio platforms like Apple Podcasts, Anchor, even Spotify are great to use in the background, but aren't social. And existing social audio platforms like Clubhouse require too much engagement from the user, needing them to be actively on their phone, looking for a room to join, and raising their hand when they want to chime in. With Aloud, you have the best of both worlds. And because we slot in the middle of a few markets, there's a tremendous opportunity for us here. From the $18 billion podcasting market to the $26 billion music streaming market to the $300 billion social media market, the opportunity is there, and it's huge.
And as a social media app, there are plenty of ways for us to start generating revenue. For example, similar applications stand to profit around $5 per user per year in advertising. We can implement a similar model by inserting audio ads at certain time intervals in people's feeds, as seen on the left. We also plan on selling filters and sound effects so that users can spice up their recordings, as seen in the center. And we're implementing a tip jar so that content creators can be directly compensated on the app, offering a feature that is not present on most other social media applications.
Everyone we've interviewed loves the app and has a great time using it. We recently soft launched and have been iterating and improving our app from our user feedback. With the Brown Venture Prize, we would be able to officially launch Aloud and augment our marketing efforts. The proceeds from the prize would go a long way towards driving a critical mass of users to Aloud so that we can grow exponentially. And we have a plan in place to speed up our growth. Influencers ranging from Gen Z music curators to award-winning voice actors are ready and willing to join Aloud and bring their followings with them. With the Brown Venture Prize, we would be able to tap into their broader networks, reach more influencers, and drive more users to the platform. We are the team to do this. A former Google intern, Cole is responsible for building and maintaining websites that reach over 20,000 unique visitors per year. And with my experience in venture capital and working with other early-stage social media companies, we will take Aloud to the next level and give everyone the opportunity to hear the world.
Is this thing on? It is. Nicely done. That was, well, way to bring it out, the first one. There was a really great presentation, and I think the concept is really, really interesting. My name is Lisa, hi. I have a couple of questions. I know I'm only supposed to ask one, so I'm gonna ask one that's really quick, which is there a length of audio that is ideal, like, that you're shooting for? And then I'm actually gonna ask a follow-up.
Yeah, so currently the length is 2 minutes, which we believe for people our generation is a perfect length.
Because for me, it's like 40 minutes, is that what you're saying?
Well, one thing that's come up in our user interviews is that everyone we talk to, our generation, loves it because we don't have attention spans. We scroll through TikToks every 5 seconds. But we actually get the question a lot from people not in our generation who ask us, why is it short form?
Don't let the gray fool you.
It's not just you, it's tons of people we talk to, everyone kind of on the above 30. Will really ask us, I would rather listen to a long podcast than this, but anyone our generation loves the short clips, getting new information quickly.
I just want to point out, I asked the question without judgment. I actually was thinking shorter was better, but that's okay. That was the easy question. Here is my slightly less easy question, which is, so you've seen the proliferation of social medias and some of the challenges that they've come across, which is how do you protect the users of it, right? How do you safeguard, how do you protect against people being harassed or bullied or attacked? Do you have any thought about that yet?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking. And right now, the app is still small enough that we can personally moderate content and hear everything, delete what's bad. We also have a report feature for other users to report posts that will flag us once the app gets a little larger. And down the road, we're looking to do kind of a speech to text so that we can flag posts the second they're posted, and then immediately go and check them and make sure that there's nothing bad in the content.
Great questions, Lisa. Freddie and Cole, congratulations, good job. So one of the hardest parts of scaling a consumer-led business is customer acquisition costs. Can you talk to me a little bit about your go-to-market strategy?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So as I mentioned earlier, our primary strategy is influencers, and the reason we're looking so much at influencers is because we're building a market, and it's hard to do. We need users on the app to make it worthwhile for new users. So when we go to an influencer with 1 or 2 million followers, maybe we get 50,000 new downloads from that, and maybe 1,000 of them stay. But that 1,000 users is a stable, self-sustaining ecosystem that we can then build on through other marketing efforts.
And you mentioned the competition a little bit. What's preventing some of the Twitter or Spotify or Apple from doing this? Why are you going to be the ones to do it and not them?
We're doing it first. There is no protection, but we have a first mover advantage, and if we scale up rapidly enough, which the Brown Venture Prize will help us do, then we have a community that's tied to Aloud that wants to stay and that won't go to Twitter or Facebook or whoever makes it next.
Thank you.
Aloud.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next team up is Atomics, and Richard and Mary will be asking them questions. Atomics.
Hi, My name is Dana, and this is Salahuddin, and we are two of the co-founders of Atomics. We are revolutionizing the way we store and process digital data by using small molecules. Now, you may be wondering, why would anyone want to store digital data in small molecules? So let's first take a second to talk about the problem, which is the cloud. This is where the internet lives, and these massive data centers are what we're talking about when we talk about the cloud. Right now, these centers are struggling to keep up with our explosive data creation and processing needs. What we're looking at here is data creation in zettabytes. And if we take a look at where we are on this curve now, and we look ahead, we see this massive increase in data creation that's expected within the next decade. And now if we take a look at what the limits are of our current technology, we've already surpassed its limits. In fact, we can only store about 15% of the entire digital universe today. So why is this happening? Well, most of our digital data is stored using transistors. And these transistors require chip-grade silicon. One huge problem is that prior to 2040, the demand will be nearly 100 times the world's supply of this silicon. We simply will not have enough silicon to store our data. Another problem is that transistors have already reached their size limit at about 7 nanometers. At this size, you could fit billions of transistors onto a chip like the one shown here. But at this size, they produce enormous amounts of heat. In fact, to keep our data cool, data centers are using more electricity per year than the entire country of Austria. There are some serious problems with how we store and process our data. And what we need is nothing short of a paradigm-shifting approach to solve these problems. And that's where Atomics comes in. We have already shown that we can store digital data denser, more sustainably, and for longer periods of time when compared to conventional and current DNA competitors. So let's take a look at how our technology works. We start with some sort of digital information, in this case, an image. We translate this image into binary, and using our novel approach, we write these bit sequences into the presence or absence of unique molecules in solution. To read out this information, we perform mass spectrometry, and using our artificial intelligence, we can interpret these spectra and retrieve our image.
And this process works very well. We obtain a patent for our entire process, and we already shown that we can store and retrieve megabytes of information by using this technology. So, how are we planning to make money? Our main revenue stream will come from partners in the private data storage sector, and we plan to license our patent and sell the chemical libraries necessary for data storage. And we have already been in contact with Amazon and Microsoft, as well as the CIA, Department of Defense, and Library of Congress. And they are all excited about using our technology in the coming years. So, who is behind this technology? Our team currently consists of myself and Dana, and we are both PhD candidates in chemistry, as well as Brenda and Jacob, who are professors in chemistry and engineering, and we are all looking forward to the next couple of years at Atomics that will be full of growth. First, we will scale up our storage to terabytes of information by the end of this year. So winning the Brown Venture Prize will allow us to achieve this goal. Next year, we will be fundraising. With the capital, we will continue scaling up our storage and also working to develop the molecular computing side of this venture. One thing we are really excited about is computing within our bodies. If you think about this, we, as human beings, nothing more than massive molecular computers. And this technology will eliminate the need to translate between the digital and the chemical realms and allow us to compute entirely in chemical.
The future is not silicon. It's atomic. Are you ready?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm on. That was amazing, so
Thank you so much.
Really interesting. Yeah, Ruth Simmons would greet, when she was president of Brown, she would greet alumni groups and say, you all wouldn't get in today, you know, and this probably is a good example of, it's right over here. My question is in terms of performance versus, silicon and other ways of reading and writing data, and also the chemicals that you're using. Are they safe, and what's the ecological aspects of the technology?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the chemicals that we use, we actually get to choose them. So we can choose which chemicals we use, which is something that our competitors can't do. And this allows us to use things like waste from industrial processes that can't be used for anything else. And we can also make sure that the molecules we're using are safe. And so this is one of our key advantages, is that we can choose what we store information in.
And the performance aspects? Like
Yes.
how fast do you read, write versus?
Yeah, so speed is something that we're all cognizant of in this space. Our competitors are dealing with this as well. Right now, we can store and retrieve, so we can read and write data in around a few days for megabytes. So that seems really slow. That's actually where our competitors are as well. And so our fastest way to market is to use this, not think about speed so much, and use our technology for archivable data. And so archivable data is data that you don't need to access very frequently. It's things like patient healthcare records and regulatory documents. And 60% of all data today is actually classified as archive data. And it's the fastest growing class of data. So by 2025, more than 80% of all data will be archivable. So that's our go-to-market strategy right now in terms of performance and speed.
Thank you.
Hi, Dana Salahuddin. Very impressive presentation. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Mary here. My question is more around your business model, which we were talking about. I know the traditional data centers take, 3 to 4 years to build, 60% utilization just to break even, et cetera. And, so negative cash flow while they're having to build the next data center. So in your business model, are you going to ask them to start paying you royalties before they've acquired any customers?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're actually not locked into a business model just yet. We're considering a couple of different things. So one of the things is we could store data ourselves. We could store that with our technology on our own site. And so that's something we're thinking about, because in that case, we wouldn't have to worry about anyone else getting in the way of between us and the customer, right? So we can just deal directly with the customer to store data. The other model we're thinking about is to sell more of a B2B. So we can use the companies that already have the majority of the data storage industry, which are companies like Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. They already have the customers, and so we can just sell our technology and license our patents directly to them. In that case, we would not require them to pay us a royalty prior to storing the information, but that would be an ongoing licensing of our patent and also selling the chemical libraries, like Sel mentioned, as a recurring source of revenue.
Thank you.
Okay, let's give Atomics a big hand. And keep the applause coming for Cinemates.
Hi, my name's Tatiana, and today I'll be speaking about my venture, Cinemates, which aims to solve a problem I know you all have faced. So, you're sitting on the sofa, surrounded by your friends and family, you have a cozy blanket, maybe some popcorn, and then someone asks the dreaded question, so what are we gonna watch? You start pulling out your phones, you're Googling things, you're scrolling through different streaming services. You're wasting time. You're not alone. 88% of viewers are frustrated by the amount of time they spend searching for new content. So how do they combat this issue? Well, some have Slack channels with their colleagues dedicated to exchanging recommendations. Others have pages in their Notes app where they keep track of any movie or television show name that comes up in conversation. 97% of viewers believe that the best recommendations come from family or friends, and they do anything they can to save these recommendations. Well, what if instead of all these workarounds, you actually had a platform that collected these recommendations for you? A platform you could easily access in times of need. Meet Cinemates. Here, when a friend sees a good movie that reminds them of you, they can simply press Send to Friend, select your name amongst a list of others, add a customized comment, And it'll appear for you in your Sent by Friends section of the profile page, a section you can easily access when it comes time to watch a movie. You can even filter it by streaming services that you're already subscribed to. And Cinemates isn't just great for people searching for content. It's also fun for reviewers who can post tweet-length responses or their thoughts on films. Right now, there are 3 companies in this space, but none of them were made solely to help users save time searching for content. Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb are movie or television show databases. They presuppose you already know what you want to watch. And Letterboxd allows users to write reviews, but doesn't help them easily get recommendations. All 3 platforms are at odds with how we want to access recommendations, quickly and easily by those that we trust. So what would the business plan be? Well, like most apps, we'd have a freemium model, incorporate some native advertising, but what really excites me is our ability to monetize our data. Streaming services or production houses have no way to quantify what's spreading rapidly through word of mouth. Well, now with Cinemates, they can. And the market for a product like this is huge. The social media market is an $100 billion plus market. Streaming service market is a $50 billion plus market. And the value of 2 comparables, IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, are $2 billion and $535 million, respectively. And I've already seen a lot of traction. A few months ago, I published an app under the name Movgl, which only has one feature. It allows users to ask for a recommendation, a very specific recommendation, a recommendation you couldn't just Google. And without any marketing or advertising, the app has received over 2,000 downloads. And I've seen this strong community build on itself, with strangers responding with very specific movies to people's specific needs. Cinemates would be a more advanced and developed version of Movgl. And we're building it. So I'm the founder, and I'm the CEO, and I've been working with Ethan Pauly, a Brown student, who's serving as our CTO. He has experience working as a software engineer at a lot of prestigious companies, and he's built apps in the past. Right now, he's overseeing 6 Brown software engineers, and we're building Cinemates together. So right now, we're in the app development stage, and we plan to have the app built by May. Then we plan to launch the app and the website and address marketing needs, and then we would put our money towards our best marketing solutions. So that's where Brown Venture Prize money would come in. We would put the Brown Venture Prize money into marketing solutions that we already know are effective. Thank you.
Amazing job, Tatiana.
Thank
So
you.
proud of you. It's awesome. Sole female founder or with your co-founder. I think it's awesome. You're up here pitching. Go
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
My question for you is one you're going to get asked all the time as an entrepreneur. What keeps you up at night?
Oh my goodness. I think it's definitely a big task to take on. And I don't have any experience, in the technical side, so I've definitely been sleeping a lot better now that I have Ethan on board to help me kind of navigate the whole development side of things. But yeah, there are a bunch of hurdles that come with development, but Ethan and I are tackling one by one and making headway, so I'm excited.
Congratulations, Tatiana. I love this business. I want to use this app. I need it. I love also, I think one of the advantages that you have is that you're platform agnostic, and so you're aggregating content from a lot of main studios and data aggregators like a Netflix. But how do you convince them to partner with you to put their content on your app versus building it themselves?
So we don't actually need to work with them to do this. So on Movgl, I just accessed my own movie or television show database, and that's what we incorporated. So right now, Ethan and I are talking to some lawyers to get permission for the movie posters to use, but that's really the only permission we need. We can utilize our own data and create our own data for that.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Our next presenters are COAD, and they will be questioned by Ben and Mary. COAD.
You can't count on me now. 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need.
Hi, I'm Rose, the CEO of COAD. COAD stands for Community Adherence, and our mission is to improve medication adherence, or the percentage of time patients take their medicine as directed. More than 131 million Americans are prescribed medicine. For most, that medicine is miraculous. It keeps them healthy and alive. So what's the problem? Medicine only works if you take it. And 3 out of 4 patients are non-adherent, meaning they take their pills late or not at all. We think. You see, all current adherence data is self-reported, which is inaccurate, leaving patients and their doctors in the dark. But why are patients not adherent? Most simply forget. We have all done it, and most of us have lied about it. Think. Have you ever forgotten to finish that full 10-day course of antibiotics? What did you tell your doctor when they asked? Exactly. People don't want to forget. It's just life. The bad news is that this simple forgetfulness really matters. Non-adherence is responsible for 10% of all hospitalizations, 125,000 premature deaths each year, and over $300 billion in avoidable healthcare costs, 30% of the waste in our healthcare system. The great news is that this massive problem has a beautifully simple solution. Introducing COAD, a people-first digital healthcare platform comprised of a smart pill box integrated with a user-friendly mobile app that work together to remind patients to take their medicine, notify their loved ones when they forget, and records adherence data. Here's how it works. Step 1, simply add your medication schedule into the COAD app and up to 5 family members, friends, or caregivers who will serve as your accountability buddies. Step 2, load your pills into the COAD pill box. They quickly sync and update via Bluetooth. So, all set. You see, COAD knows whether you take your medicine. The pill box has sensors in each of the compartments that notify the app when the pill has been taken. When it's time to take your medicine, COAD will send you a friendly reminder. If you take your pill, you're good to go. But when you forget, and this is the important part, COAD will call on your accountability buddies to nudge you back on track. Both you and a succession of up to 5 of your accountability buddies will receive reminder notifications in 15-minute intervals until you take your medicine. It's that easy. COAD also improves long-term patient care through the collection, analysis, and visualization of accurate patient data. The COAD app offers daily, monthly, and ongoing adherence reports that you can share with your accountability buddies or doctors. Doctors can utilize these reports to make data-driven decisions and personalize your care plan. The market opportunity here is huge. Non-adherence alone is a $6 billion market, but the larger opportunity is in the data we collect. The healthcare analytics market will reach nearly $100 billion by 2030. COAD will capture revenue from both markets through 3 streams. 1, the pill box, priced at a flat rate of $40. 2, the app, available through subscription at $5 a month. 3, this is where we make the most money, the data, which we will anonymize for patient privacy and sell to research institutions and insurance companies to improve patient care. Competitors have failed to crack the code. We asked the patients and discovered the problem. Existing products are designed for perfect people. Patients see the reminder, click complete with good intentions, but forget to follow through. We heard them and designed a solution for real people, one that's simple, integrates hardware and software, ensures accountability through loved ones in our pill box, and produces verifiable data. We are sprinting. COAD began this past September. We have since completed bottom-up research, built a prototype, filed a provisional patent, and validated our model through a simulation with real patients. We found a 34% improvement in adherence, and 80% preference for our pill box. The BVP funding will bring our solution to life. We are currently developing our MVP, but need capital to finish product development and begin manufacturing pill boxes for beta testing. Our team has experience in healthcare, computer science, big data, and engineering. Together, we integrate and work as well as the solution we are building. Tonight, we invite you to join us on our mission to improve medication adherence, advance healthcare, and save lives around the globe. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Sounds like you brought your own cheering section. Congratulations. So there's been a lot of talk today about different generations.
Yes.
And so I'm curious how this works for a population that might not have a smartphone.
Who might not have a smartphone?
So like old people.
Yeah. For old people, So in terms of our app, you would need to have a smartphone, but we focused really on accessibility in terms of our designs for our user interface. So our app is stripped down to the most basic, simple function. So it's really easy to set up. It only takes 2 steps. And it's really simple to use. In fact, our app, how we differentiate from most of our competitors' medication reminder apps, is the fact that our app really doesn't need a lot of patient engagement. Our focus is on making the patient engage the least amount of possible. For example, if you're adherent, which our goal is for you to be, then you receive the reminder, similar to a reminder you set on your phone, and you don't have to check in with the app, because the pill box automatically notifies the app to stop the notification process. So really, once you get it set up, you don't really need to engage with the app at all. It only comes in when you're not being adherent.
Rose, kudos to you and your team for tackling a huge problem.
Thanks.
My question is around the business model. I'm assuming you've gotten around HIPAA compliance requirements. So if the users become trained to become adherent, right, and they're adherent, so how do you get repeat customers? If they no longer need the device, if they have become adherent and are used to it?
Yes. Well, through customer interviews, we've realized that a lot of people definitely always need that reminder. It's a continuous thing and people continue to forget. But in terms of continuing to have our customers work with us, is that they will see their improvement in their adherence through using the app, and then they will really want to stick with the app and will build that customer loyalty. We're also going to implement in the future different types of symptom trackers and different types of advice that will also come as notifications to you. So hopefully that will also keep them with us for life, because that's the goal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Coad, nice going.
So good.
Our next presenters are Dreamin', and the judges who will be asking them questions are Lisa and Sadie. Dreamin'.
Hi, I'm Yifei. I'm here to introduce you a user-generated content game platform, Dreamin'. But before we directly jump into it, let's talk about game first. We have more than 3 billion video gamers in this world. That's more than 1/3 of the global population. But when it comes to how many people can make a game, this number becomes much less. Only 1 in 1,000 of them have the ability to create. Why is that? Well, the answer is pretty straightforward, because it's hard. And let's see some current solutions we have to create a game to see why it's so hard. Roblox, Unity, Unreal, when you open them up, you'll see something like this. You'll see a blank start with all these complicated tools just listed out there staring at you. We all know they are powerful, but the problem is they're just too professional. For daily users like us, we don't want something like this, but instead we want a much simpler tool and also a platform to share. That is what we are bringing to the game industry. Here's our product, the platform and the tools. The logic behind this simple tool is that we extract the core structures and features of all game types, action, deduction, strategy, and we leave that option to you. So when you choose a type to create, this tool will lead you to finish your creation step by step, because we already have the framework out there for you, and all you need to do is to fill in your imagination and stories. Let's see some numbers. So for a normal game on Steam, the average labor cost is 4 people working for 4 months. We also have 4 content creators in our MVP testing community, and for the past 2 months, they create 10 games. And what's more important is that these 10 games are not only completed, they're actually receiving very good feedback. We invited over 200 players to test them, and the feedback shows an average satisfaction rate of 4.45 and recommendation rate of 92%. By implementing such a disruptive game engine, we are achieving a user-generating content ecosystem so that non-professionals can actually create a huge number of games with incredible diversity. We're launching this product in the US, and initially focusing on age range from 18 to 34 because we believe this group of people love games and they have the most creativity to bring us fabulous content. Our profit model is mainly composed by two parts: advertisement inherited from the other UGC platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and in-game purchases inherited from the traditional gaming industry. Let me give a brief shout out to our dream team, me, Han Xuan, Chu Fan, Eileen, and Kyle, and all the members in the whole community that are always there to help. Last but not least, our big plan. We're launching this product this year, and in the year of 2023, we're going to reach 100K user milestone. In 2024, we're going to step to our next stage to expand it internationally. By that, the importance of Brown Venture Prize is obvious, because it will be the very first and strong supporter to help us scale up our user community and accelerate product development. Before I end, I'd like to talk a little bit about my view of games. Game is not only about entertainment. By simplifying the creative process, games can be an information media. It can be a more immersive and engaging media that can deliver all kinds of information. In the past, contents are in the forms of pictures, words, videos, but from now on, we can easily perceive information by interacting with games. That is my dream, that is our dream, and that is Dream In. Thank you.
That is a fantastic presentation, super compelling, and really fantastic to see how quickly you can speed up the development of a game. I think that's really, yeah, great. So my question is two parts, meaning I actually have two questions, but I'm going to say it as one question in two parts. I am curious as to who you think the audience is. Who wants to make a game? And then the second part of it is, assuming the issue of the game creation tools that exist today, forgetting about that they're hard, are there, using your tool, using Dreaming, are there limitations? Can you be more creative or more, have more choices if you use the other tools? Just trying to understand the scope of it.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're splitting our audience to two parts, creators and the players. So for the players, the reason why they love this platform because they can see games that are all in all forms, like all diversities, all different topics. So let me give an example. So if you want to play a deduction game, the normal ones that you can find on the market is always about a murder scene. Like Among Us is very popular at the end of 2020. It's about an imposter and all crewmates, like the one is killing everyone else and the everyone else is finding the murder. So on this platform, we can see different forms of deduction game. For example, we can maybe not make a game about a murder scene, but we make a game to find the Brown student violating the academic code. And that might happen in Barris Holly, Salmon Center, Nielsen Center, right? And that's why the players will love this platform. And for the creators, we actually talked to more than thousands of the potential users who are just game players in general. And we found out some very interesting numbers. So almost 30% of them have attempted to create a game, and less than 1% succeeded. So we are focusing on the 92% of them. So that's also an answer to the second question, so the limitation of freedom. For the professionals, of course, this tool might be a little bit less powerful than Unity, Unreal, but for the rest 29%, this tool is not restricting their freedom, but enabling them to create. And another part of the answer, I'm splitting into two parts also. Another part of the answer is that this tool actually does not limit your freedom at all, because if you think about it, the current games we have, although they are produced by professionals like Nintendo, Sony, they still fall into categories like action, deduction, strategy, because the ideology of designing a set of game rules is extremely hard. It's not about professional and unprofessional, it's about genius. And that's why we have game industry exist for decades, and only less than 10 game types exist. And we implement all types, and we just gave you the common structures for you, and the other imaginations, limitations. As long as humans' imagination is unlimited, the content on this platform is also unlimited.
It's a great answer.
Great answer.
Thank you.
Awesome job. Could you describe for us one of your favorite games that you've seen created so far?
By our platform?
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, it's a game that hasn't been released, so it's not in the PowerPoint, but there's Some people at Brown, they are creating a game, it's a detection game also, but they are trying to find the person on a party that spread COVID to us. Yeah. So there might be some clues that maybe this cup has some like COVID virus on it. You can detect which cup whose cup it is, and then find out like who's the spreader. Yeah, that's a very interesting game. Yeah.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Dreamin'. Our next group is Kerja, and Richard, you're going to ask questions first, and then Michael, I hope you're there online. You're going to ask questions second, right after Richard. Let's give it up for Kerja.
Hi everyone, I'm Tim. I'm founder and CEO of Kerja.io, which is Indonesian for work, and I'm here to tell you about how we're building the future of Southeast Asia's digital workforce. Every single college student has to do three things. We need to decide what career path we want to pursue, we need to learn relevant skills, and then we need to actually get recruited. The problem is, in Southeast Asia, the region where I'm from, doing these three things can be pretty hard. We have dysfunctional university career centers, and as a result, it takes years for somebody to figure out what they want to do, causing them to spend less time actually preparing for these roles, which results in a workforce that lacks relevant pre-professional skills. When it comes to recruiting, 50% of people rely on their personal networks and WhatsApp as their main source of job information because job boards right now are simply not compatible for the region. Now, for those of you who don't know Southeast Asia, this is an exciting region. We have 20 million college students growing at 20% in the next 3 years. Since COVID-19, we've seen a 3x increase in edtech adoption across the board. And in the past 5 years, some of the best investors in the world, the likes of GGV, Sequoia Capital, Tiger Global, have deployed close to $500 million of capital into this particular sector. Now, this is a problem that is popular, urgent, and growing. And this is something that's incredibly personal to me as a Southeast Asian. Here's how we're currently solving it at our company. So we have two products. One that focuses on education to help students decide what they want to do and learn relevant skills, and another that focuses on recruiting. We call our educational product SkillDeck. SkillDeck are simulated projects made by real companies. We partner with real companies in the region. We take past assignments and projects that employees have worked on, and then we convert them into mini modules and assignments for any student to complete. This allows students to explore careers, learn skills by completing these assignments, and build a portfolio of completed work that they can showcase to any future employer. We close a stealth beta with a Sequoia-backed company where we achieve a CAC of 12 cents and with about 1,000 users. And in the next 4 weeks, we'll be launching a more public beta with 3 more companies, including Indonesia's largest bank, a $14 billion tech giant whose founder just happens to be a Brown alum. And we're currently finalizing a deal with a global consulting firm based out of New York City. Now, once students build their own skill decks, we want to help them land real jobs. And to do that, we've actually built a job board to the region's top tech and finance companies. The job board is the first product we launched to market in November 2020, and since then, we have scaled to almost 300 companies. Our clients range from early YC-backed companies all the way to the likes of Bain, BCG, StratoGN, TikTok, and Citibank. Our net promoter score is 10 times higher than LinkedIn, and our candidate retention rate is something we're incredibly proud of. 82% of candidates who applied using our job platform for their internship came back and applied to use us for a second or third time for their next internship. Now, SkillDeck and the job board are distinct products, but they're actually complementary because they allow us to target each specific segment of the college experience, thus completing our complete end-to-end ecosystem. A business model pretty straightforward. Companies pay a recurring fee to host these projects on our website, and we will be creating premium content for students to purchase. And for the job board, it's free for students and companies pay to post a listing. This is a team. Alvin and I have combined experience in both investing and operating in high-growth companies in Southeast Asia and Silicon Valley. I've also had the pleasure of working for Indonesia's Minister of Education, where I learned about a lot of the problems that we're trying to solve today. And together, we're building something we wish we had in college. The $25,000 from Brown Venture Prize will help us scale SkillDeck. This is a product we're incredibly excited to launch in the next few weeks. and you can be part of that journey. Thank you.
Very interesting presentation, thank you. Can you describe more the integration between the two products and why they are two products? Because it would seem to be that it's one continuous journey from starting to explore what you want to do towards internships and then applying for either internships or permanent positions.
Right. So the two products are basically, it's part of that ecosystem that we're trying to build. We started out building that job board to help people get recruited, but there are things that happen before people actually get recruited, which is I need to decide what they want to do, and I need to learn relevant skills. And so Skill Deck is designed to sort of complement the job board itself. The idea is end-to-end cycle is people learn about these job opportunities using Skill Deck. They build that portfolio to showcase employers, and then once they hit their junior and senior year, they can start applying to these jobs using the job board that we already built.
Thank you.
Let's see if Michael's here. Yes, Michael, excellent.
Hi, Mike.
Hi. Great presentation, Tim.
Thank you.
Obviously, this is going to be an important tool to help Southeast Asia recover in a post-pandemic environment, so I'm excited to see the future. I am curious, it's definitely a land grab situation. What are you doing in terms of partnering with, with your source of labor in terms of looking at partnering with colleges, recruiting departments, engineering departments, Office of Technology Transfer, anything to sort of, get your footprint across as quickly as possible?
Absolutely. So our main go-to-market strategy for the job board has been primarily word of mouth. Early on in the venture, we are cognizant of the fact that we did not want to grow too early. We want to find product market fit first and find a good retention rate, and we've achieved that. And so the go-to-market strategy for the next few months, with Skill Deck included, will include partnering with student organizations, partnering with universities as well. We're in talks with a few of them in Southeast Asia, and just expanding the network using those channels.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Kerja. Our seventh and last team is Points. And we're going to hear from Points, and the two judges who are going to ask questions are Ben, and we may have lost Melanie, but I may be able to do my best Melanie impersonation. She sent me an email, and so I'm armed with Melanie's question, but at least Ben, we'll hear from you. But to begin with, let's hear from Points.
Hi, my name's Maggie, and this is Trisha, and we're the co-founders of Points. Micromobility is the future of sustainable transportation. Nearly 1/3 of greenhouse gas emissions come from the transportation sector. And nearly half of all trips taken are 3 miles or less, which means that they could be taken on a bike or a scooter. And the problem is that 70% of the world actually wants to bike or scoot, but they're too scared to. And this is because they're nervous about riding next to cars, and there's a lack of infrastructure, especially in the United States. So instead of trying to alter the built environment, we decided to build a technology that would give people low-stress routes. And it's called Points. You can think of us as ways for safe micromobility routes. The way it works is that people can view ratings on the home screen, choose the safest or the fastest route to their destination, follow turn-by-turn navigation steps, and crowdsource to improve the map after they're done. We also implement a gamification strategy to keep users engaged. Every month, we award prizes to users who give us the highest quality and quantity of reviews. These contests are powered by micromobility consumer brands, which give us a larger reach to our potential audience. The market itself is growing really quickly, and we estimate that our serviceable obtainable market is around $600 million in annual recurring revenue. This is because there are about 1 billion people who ride micromobility every day. About 25% of those we're estimating live in cities and are willing to join our platform, and around 4% are willing to pay for premium.
In January, we launched our app, and in a mere 5 days, we gained over 930 organic signups. Most of these came from urban cyclists
who are local experts that rated roads and also used routes in the app. Since launching, we've had over 2,600 users join our community, and we've had an impressive average of 32% week-over-week growth. Further, we've had over 9,500 road ratings in the app. And we've also had some other accomplishments, including getting investment from Rogue Venture Partners, being featured as a finalist in Mass Challenge 2021, and having been featured in the Boston Globe and Bloomberg. We will be partnering with local bike organizations and national bike organizations to grow our user base, in addition to reaching out to vehicle providers. We'll make money in two different ways. The first is through a premium subscription feature, so users can subscribe to get valuable features such as these. And the second way is through B2B revenue streams. So these include last mile delivery to license our data to them, white labeling our routing, as well as selling and curating location-based ads. So you might be thinking, why hasn't Google Maps just done this? We've heard from hundreds of anecdotes from riders such as Juan over here, and we'd like to explain. So Google Maps, unlike Points, lacks low-stress, safer routing in residential side streets. Their algorithm only favors and locates official bike lanes, which are oftentimes much more dangerous to ride on. Imagine, for example, that you have a road which has a painted bike lane, like a Sharrow, and there's a whole bunch of traffic around you. This is not going to be as safe as just going a couple side streets over and riding there, which is what Points will give you. Also, our competitors include some other ones, but all of these lack the completeness and quality of routing that we have. They're also inconvenient and expensive because of hardware. Maggie and I are so lucky to have a robust team that we created, in addition to amazing advisors like Mia Burke of Alta Planning and Tom Sperry, our investor. With BVP's generous support, we'll be able to do all of these things, including launching our premium feature sets and securing our data licensing contract.
The leading reason that people don't use micromobility is because they don't feel safe. At Points, we're envisioning a future where people feel comfortable taking most trips under 3 miles on a bike or scooter. This will lead to safer and greener communities. Thank you.
Great job. Congratulations. You focus primarily on, sounds like urban riding and commuting. How do you see this intersecting with a more recreational bike riding community?
Definitely. So, our primary target for the beachhead is urban cyclists specifically, although we do want to target people that are also riding recreationally, and that's a bit of a different user segment because those folks are riding on roads that they maybe don't know as well, and looking for exploring routes rather than getting from point A to point B. And we expect the gamification aspect to really help in that sense.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's thank Points. And let's have another big hand for all 7 teams. Allow, Atomics, Cinemates, Coad, Dreamin', Kirja, and Points. And a huge thank you to our judges who did a great job here, and Michael online, and Melanie for sending me her question. Thank you so much. The judges have a really challenging job before them. We're going to allow them to adjourn and to deliberate. You can follow Jonas, who's going to help you arrange a place to do that in the Crystal Room, I believe. But don't go anywhere. All of you seated here today, and maybe even standing in the back, and those online, you have an important job to do as well. You get to choose our fan favorite. In a couple seconds, we're going to put up a URL and a QR code through which you can vote as audience members, both online through the live stream and those of you seated here, and we encourage you all to participate. The other thing that you've got, at least for those of you here, which is rare after COVID has preempted us the previous 2 years, is to meet 5 other people. Meet 5 people you don't know. That's your job after you've voted for the fan favorite. And then we'll be, I hope, playing some music. We'll wait for the judges to deliberate, and then we will award the fan favorite, and the 3 cash prizes. Thank you, everyone.
I'm the founder of Parallel Market.
And so we started a few different initiatives.
Low cost, affordable.
Fun, engaging online.
We solve these problems.
Students have fantastic ideas, venture ideas, business ideas.
At IntusCare, our mission is to empower long-term care providers through data to deliver more effective care to older adults.
EmpowerU is an edtech startup that works to help address educational disparities by providing students with the access to the resources and the tools they need to obtain higher education.
The Breakthrough Lab, which we call the B-Lab, is a really unique opportunity for students to advance ventures of their own creation. They've discovered in their own life or their own research an unmet need somewhere in the world.
I'm passionate about EmpowerU because I am a first-generation low-income student who has experienced educational disparities, and to me, it almost feels like getting into Brown gives me an obligation to give back.
Our beginning was with my mother. When I was a child, she was a geriatric social worker, and she would take me with her on home visits to see her elderly and disabled patients. So that had a tremendous impact on my development. So by the time I got to Brown, I was really deeply ingrained in these problems facing providers and patients.
They hypothesize a solution to that problem, and now they're looking for a way to advance their venture forward, and that's what the Breakthrough Lab is.
A lot of those lessons we learned early in that program are some of the core things still driving us in our studies and pushing us forward in our venture.
I was paired up with these amazing mentors that have intense experience within the edtech sector.
Programs like B-Lab that support really early stage venture ideation and thinking and experimentation are so important, because I think that super early stage is a place where often founders or wannabe founders get derailed.
Without adequate resources, good coaching, a support network, I don't think it would be possible to grow and scale a venture, especially at our young age and inexperience.
We bring lots of outside speakers in to motivate students and to teach them about different ways to think about early stage venturing. Students become friends with one another, they support one another's ventures.
It's so collaborative. It's not a competition between the founders. It's an opportunity to learn and grow with each other. And I love that that's the culture within the Nelson Center.
Having a center of gravity where all of those different aspects of getting an idea off the ground can come together, and in a concentrated way you can provide a launching pad for these founders, is proven to be an incredibly potent formula.
It really helped me catapult myself and my venture and made me realize that if this was something I was really passionate about, which I am, then I can essentially go on to do this even after graduation, which I think is amazing, and it gave me such an incredible sense of confidence.
The students here want to solve the world's toughest problems in a way that helps everyone. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things to come out of the Nelson Center.
Okay, everyone. I am really excited. First of all, to announce the fan favorite. You all did a really good job of voting. Thank you. The fan favorite of the 2022 Brown Venture Prize competition is Cinemates. Terrific job, congratulations. Really nice job. And then I have it on good authority, and probably not a surprise, this was a really, really challenging deliberation of the judges for the 3 cash prizes. First place being $25,000, second place being $15,000, third place being $10,000. Let's start with the third place winner, and I'm going to ask Sadie to announce that winner.
This was a very hard choice. All the teams were amazing. Our third prize goes to COAD. Yes! Come and get your money, Rose. Yes. Hey, 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 hey. Let's go is right. Let's go. Let's go. Give it up. Stand up. Let's go.
Thank you.
Rose, I want to tell you, you are a dynamo. You will do anything that you set your mind to. You are incredible. Congrats to you and the team. Way to go.
And the fabulous second prize of $15,000 goes to Dreamin'. Congratulations. I think anybody who is enabling genius wins.
All right. Well, this was a really, really tough deliberation that we had, and we almost could have pulled it out of a hat because they were all such great presentations, and we really appreciate all the hard work that was done. But the reason it took so long is that we had to record our votes in molecules, and it took a while for them to send the spectroscope over to decode it. But now I can announce that the 2022 Brown Venture Prize goes to Atomics. Congrats. Good luck with it.
A big, big round of applause for all 7 teams. Congratulations to all the winners. Thank you so much to the judges. This was a tough job to do. And by the way, it's not just tonight. It's reading dozens of applications well before tonight. It's coming to meetings and deliberating even before to select 7 finalists, and then making the tough choices and asking the tough questions tonight. We can't thank you enough for all of your diligent contribution and engagement with the Nelson Center and the 2022 Brown Venture Prize. Thank you so much, judges. Thank you, all of you, for being here. And the only thing left is to have more refreshments back there and meet 5 people. Thank you, everybody.